Hello students, welcome back. Figure Drawing 2. Today we are going to be taking a look at the features of the face and how to draw them. So we're going to start off with the nose. This is going to be a little mix of working from notes from previous lectures and from a photo. So first here I'm building out the shape of the nose. This is from the model on the left. And just trying to get the structure. So there's different parts of the structure. The wings of the nose are on the side. The bridge is the top. The very base at the very top is called the glabella. And there's the nasal bone that sits just below the glabella. The philtrum is the part that sits underneath. So we're building up some of the values, thinking about top plane versus side plane. And if we start here, we're kind of building a box. That is the basic form of the nose. There's a top, there's two sides, and there's a bottom. So if you think about a box, that's what this diagram is trying to do, is show you the box and the different values for those different sides. When we look at the side of the nose, sometimes I try to say, and we'll go back and do it again, if you put an N that connects the inside of the tear duct to the base of the nose, and then a diagonal to the tip of the nose, and then go up the nose, that can help tell you about the character of that person's nose. So I did a little bit more drawing than just the side view, but the one thing to think about is when you look at someone's nose from the side view, does their nose tilt up? Does their nose flat? Does their nose point down? Parts of your nose grow throughout your entire life. So sometimes it will start one way and then start to push its way looking down. So here is the end of the nose. We're just going to reorganize these just a little bit, and then we can take a look at all of them together. So you can see an old lecture note in the side. So the ball of the nose is the end of the nose. I forgot to say that earlier. And you can kind of take a look at the different parts, but this is what you should copy for your sketchbook. Now let's start the ear. This is going to go a little bit quicker. So I'm going to use a reference photo and again, lecture notes. This one, first thing that I would recommend is look at the angle and look at the outside shape. Some people have a very kind of long and thin ear. Other people have a more squarish ear. Your ear also kind of grows over your entire life. The outside edge of your ear is called the helix, and the Y shape on the inside is the antihelix. The bump next to your ear cavity is your tragus, and the bump on the just above the lobe is the antitragus. And then I think you all know the lobe. The one thing I would say about my drawing is I had to kind of stretch it because I didn't have the right angle and I didn't have all the details there. So it's good to think of the ear as kind of like a C that frames itself around a Y, and that's the helix and the antihelix shapes. And it's just going to be opposite if the first person is facing the other way. It's just in reverse. The back view, the thing to just think about is there's kind of the little base, which is called the conch of the ear. And then the helix from the back view has kind of more of a ribbon kind of S shape. So that's something to consider as you go and build the back of the ear. Is kind of there's a base where it sits on, and then there's kind of a rhythm to the helix. So again, this is what you will copy into your sketchbooks for the assignment. And let's move to the mouth. So here with the mouth, we're going to do the same thing. I think I used the lecture notes each time, and then I also used a reference picture. So the first thing that I'm building up here is a cylinder, and trying to really emphasize the fact that the mouth sits on a curve. It doesn't sit flat. I think a lot of people will end up trying to draw the mouth fairly flat, but the front of the mouth is way farther forward. So we look at the vertical versus the horizontal of how this stretches across. It's very different. The corners of your mouth are farther back on your face. From a side view, you'll kind of notice there's usually an angle from the tip of the nose to the upper lip, to the lower lip, to the chin. Every person's angle is slightly different depending on the character of your nose, the character of your lips, the character of your chin. But you want to think about what planes face up and out and catch light, and what planes face down and away and are hidden from the light. And one thing to really think about is most of the upper lip is usually facing down and is darker, and most of the lower lip is facing up and lighter. For the final example here, I'm going to build up the drawing of the statue here and try to build the lips up. So I'm trying to be true to the light and shadow, and then at the very end we're going to go and build some other shapes on here and identify the different parts. So this is lit a little bit differently because there is a light source on the left and a light source on the right. So you wouldn't necessarily always see the lighting like we do here, but I think it still shows the form pretty well. So we have the philtrum, the upper lip, the lower lip, then the ramps of the mouth, and then the chin. I think we're just about done with this. I think I add a little bit of color, a little warm. Here we go. And then a little cool on the other side. The center of the mouth is the ball of the mouth. The pillars are at the base. So here's what I'm drawing here is the ball. And there's basically 5 big ball shapes. And then also I'm making these donut shapes for the corners of your mouth, just because as you build that up, you end up having a kind of like a divot in the corner, and there's muscle all the way around. So here we have the menti is your chin. The pillars of the mouth are the base below the lower lip, and they slant outward. And then you have usually a small highlight just above the upper lip that catches light. And you can see that in the side view drawing, and you can see that in the final drawing as well. So let's move over to the eye. And here we are on the final feature of the face. I believe that this is going to be the longest one. So we've got 2 reference pictures and our notes again. So the thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to build the eye socket. So if you start with a box for the eye socket and then you cut a shortcut versus a long cut. So inside up, shortcut, inside out, long cut. You make an octagon shape, and that's kind of what your eye cavity more or less looks like. And then you can fit the ball inside there. I'm building up like the bones here. And then we're going to start to wrap the different parts around the eye, the eyelids. So here I'm kind of using the eye in the middle to the picture to kind of reference. But the idea is the upper lid and the lower lid wrap around the ball of the eye, kind of sweeping from the outside and then tucking down and in towards the inside corner. The upper lid is on top and the lower lid is tucked underneath. And what you'll find is, depending on the person, how much light is caught, how much do you see of the upper lid versus the lower lid. But the idea of them sweeping across. So if we move to a side view, same thing with what we looked at the nose. You want to think about what planes face up versus what planes face down. So I'm kind of lighting up and adding extra light to the upper planes, and then we're going to darken the planes that face down and away. Always remember that with a side view of the eye, what you're looking at is a shape that looks more like a slice of pizza or a pie, not something that's an almond shape that you might see more from the front. For the final drawing here, I'm going to use the lower image to build it up. Notice that I made a diagonal line that connects the inside and the outside corners of the eye to try and help build it up. So what I'm trying to do is start out by kind of figuring the angle. What does the opening look like? I think as I come towards the finish, I realize that I think the outside's a little bit too wide, so I bring it back in and kind of bring it back up and try to find those different angles from the inside to the outside. Here I'm just kind of building up some value. At the end of this part, we're going to go through and build up the like the ribbon that represents going up and down on the vertical of the eye and what it would look like to move across. Similar to the mouth, the eye sits on a curve. The inside corner is usually more forward than the outside curve. Your eyes slightly sweep back from inside to outside. And that's a thing that sometimes needs you to pay quite a bit of attention as you go through and draw it. So I think we're nearly finished with this part. So you're going to see me start to draw on the surface of this and kind of highlight the idea of the eye sweeps from farther forward at the top to farther back at the bottom, and farther forward at the inside corner to farther back at the outside corner. So there's kind of two movements happening as you do the eye. So here's that ribbon. Notice that it goes up and wraps over to the brow. There's a little shelf for the upper lid. The upper lid is much thicker than the lower lid. And then from the inside to the outside, it's sweeping across also. It's very round. So we'll reorganize those, check those out. And here is a close-up of those sculptural ideas about the eye and those ribbons. And here's our final image. This is what you copy into your sketchbook. Good luck, and we'll see you next time.